want to talk to you about that New Year's resolution or that New Year, New Me intention that you set out. Although I am shooting this before the new year, by the time you see it, it's going to be probably late January. And so for those who have set out New Year's resolutions, and I'll just call it that as a blanket statement, whatever you want to call it, or even if you're watching this video in July, I think we all, at different times in our life set different goals or intentions. So this is still relevant whenever you're listening to it. But I'm intentionally shooting this again right at the new year, right before the new year, knowing that you're going to be hearing this, for the first time anyway, towards the end of January. So one of two things are either going to happen. Either you are kicking butt and taking numbers on being successful with your New Year's resolution, or you have already bumbled a little bit and you're kicking yourself in the pants. And so I want to talk to you about that. Let me start with a proper introduction. I'm Connie Jo Holmes. I'm the founder of BU2BFULL Hypnosis and Coaching. And my mission with my company is to teach individuals how to confidently and courageously move from reacting to life to owning your life. And to me, when you can truly own your habits, routines, behaviors, actions, and your thoughts, that is how you own your life, okay? And so, first of all, if you are listening to this and you're like, oh no, I'm still nailing my goals, good for you, keep it up, just keep pushing forward, don't stop until you reach the end. And also, I do want to jump in here really quick and say that there's actually many studies out there that show that if you miss like a new habit that you're doing, if you miss doing it 2 or more days in a row, the odds of you getting back into it are pretty darn difficult. So I want to say that if you by chance, for whatever reason, miss moving towards your goal for one day, do every single thing in your power to jump right back in that next day and do it, because then your odds of staying steady are going to be significantly increased, which is good. But anyways, so I want to talk about why we may set a new goal and then not fulfill that. And so really a lot of times is because we set this goal, and at the beginning we have motivation, we have willpower, we have all those things. But quite honestly, motivation and willpower only gets us so far. Trust me, I wish that was all it would take, but it doesn't. It's enough to get you going, but maybe to sustain you long term, it's really, really not enough. You've probably heard many people talk about, well, that's why you need to have a why behind your goal. I agree with that. I think Simon Sinek was very smart about the power of why. But that too, I think, only takes you so far, especially if it was a little bit of a surface level why. That's why I always encourage people to do the 7 layers deep. I've done videos on that, about just, why do you want this goal? You answer that question, and whatever that answer is, you turn it into a question, and you keep doing that 7 layers deep, because by the time you get to that 7th answer, it's gold. So that really makes your why that much stronger. But still with that, I think that still only takes us so far. So one thing that I've done this in the past for myself, and when I've done this, it has actually worked, okay? So what happens is, we have let's just say a poor routine, a poor habit in our life, and it's, no longer serving us. So we want to change and do something different. So that is our goal. And so we're good for a couple of days, and then we kind of fall behind. So then the very first thing to do is to notice when you have fallen behind. Just simply notice it. Don't beat yourself up, but just notice it. Then once you notice that you've kind of fallen off your game, ask yourself why. I mean, literally have a conversation with yourself and ask, you know what? I was so good for 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months, whatever it was. And why all of a sudden have I fallen off my game? Why? What's going on? And then sit with it though. And really, kind of like digging deep for your why, do the same with this. Like, why am I falling off my game? And then, whatever surfaces. But then, really important with that is, because presumably you're kind of going back to those former habits. So when you go back to that former habit that you had, that was giving you something. It was providing you something. So identify what was that doing for me? Even if on the surface it seemed like it was a poor behavior or a habit, it was still giving you something. That's why you're hanging on to it. So identify what that is. I will give an example for this in a minute. Identify what that is, but then challenge yourself to come up with a few, 3, 4, a few things that you can now do and do differently that can give you the same thing that original action was doing. But pick 3 different things that you can do that are productive, though, positive and productive. And then, test those out and see what works for you. And then, because when you can come at it from a point of what was that giving me, and finding a replacement to give you the same thing but in a productive way, that is how you can actually get yourself out of these limiting beliefs, poor habits, poor behaviors, that type of thing. So let me give a very clear example here. And I'm going to use food, and I tend to always use food as an example because everybody eats. And whether you need to lose weight or not, I think everyone can relate to this. So as I'm giving this as an example, please, whatever your goal is that maybe you've bumbled with, transpose that onto everything I'm saying here, because I promise you there's going to be similar components to this, okay? So as an example, because I have a lot of clients that come to me with this. So they want to lose weight. Okay, fine. So, well, let's identify, what are you doing that's working? What are you doing that's not working? And so let's say this client comes to me, and what they're doing that's not working is they eat dinner relatively early, which is fine. But then, the 7:30, 8 o'clock hour on the couch, that's when they want that salty snack. And then because they're eating it mindlessly as they're watching TV, they have just eaten 10 portions or whatever the case may be. So anyway, so that is the problem. So you had the goal of you are gonna stop that nighttime salty snack eating, and you were really good for 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden one day my body's getting up, I'm walking in the kitchen, I'm opening that pantry door, and I'm about to grab the potato chips or whatever. And so when you notice that happening, literally say stop. That's a pattern interrupt. And just say stop, because that right there is going to make you stop. And then you can ask yourself, what am I doing? And so, one, you're calling it out, you're being very aware of what's happening. But then what can happen is you can sit with that for a minute and say, rewind yourself, 1 minute back to the living room on the couch, and what was I feeling that I felt like I needed to come in here and grab this snack? And, the answer is going to be a little bit different for everybody. But again, I'm using this as an example, and I'm just going to throw myself in here. So, I'm sitting there, and I was getting really comfy because I don't watch much TV, but we just turned on this movie that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I wanted to kind of hunker down and, get comfy, put the blanket on me and watch this movie. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm realizing that comfort of hunkering down and taking my attention away for 2 hours, that comfort represented that I wanted to also feed myself that comfort. So right there, what a revelation, right? And again, I'm just using this as an example, but I trust if you can really dig a little bit deep with yourself, you're going to come up with a total aha on this. So then it's like, wow, this is really interesting. Why is it that like this hunkering down and this comfort, why am I feeling like I need to put that comfort inside of my body? Because eating potato chips is not comfortable and it doesn't produce a comfortable end result because no one's comfortable in tight jeans. So that doesn't make any sense. But right there, you identified it. So right there is magical. But then once you have identified that, now you are in a better position to, and this is my second challenge to you, is when you have identified this, then sit there and say, it's that comfort that I'm looking for. Like at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. So then ask yourself, what can I do differently to still give me comfort, because that's okay. That was what I was looking for. That's what this poor habit was giving me all along, was that comfort. And it's okay to want to need comfort, but how can I get that comfort in a different way? And everybody's different, but you know what, with some examples could be, one, switch up your routine. Excuse me. Reserve that TV watching time to the weekends. Instead, go in another room and read a book. Instead, maybe instead of working out in the morning, maybe work out after dinner. Just do something to maybe switch up your routine a little bit. But then also maybe dig a little bit deeper and to tell yourself, you know what? This comfort that I'm looking for, what is that exactly? What does that comfort feel like? What am I looking for in that comfort? Because you might find that comfort deep inside of you is actually like comfort in your own skin. And then that comfort in your own skin could be that you are happy with your weight, size, shape that you're in, that type of thing. And again, I'm just kind of using this off the top of my head as an example. But my point with this is to, a couple things. One, if you are, and this is in closing, so if you have been doing your goal, your New Year's resolution successfully, keep it up, keep going. If you have bumbled, do not beat yourself up. Just after this video, just sit with this for a minute and do this deeper searching, and to say, okay, I was doing so well and I was feeling good, so I would think that would be enough. But then, okay, I went into my past behaviors. What was in those past behaviors, habits, routines, thoughts, whatever? What were they giving me? Because they were giving you something. Identify what that is. And once you identify it, challenge yourself and say, okay, how can I get this? But then give yourself like 3 different options on how to get this in a healthy, productive, positive manner. And then once you identify those, test those out. And then you will see in testing those out, you're going to find the one that sticks. And then you're going to be able to discover for yourself that, oh my gosh, this new pattern, thought, belief, habit, whatever, is giving me what this crummy thing, or I'll leave it at that. What this past habit was giving me that actually wasn't that positive. You can then see that connection point. So, all right, I hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about this, if you need support in this in any way, my information is below. One, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation call with anybody. So if you want to talk through something, schedule that time with me. But also, if this is an area that you really, really struggle with, this is something I can definitely help you with, is to really help you identify this and so that you can, once and for all, get past these things that are holding you back in your life. So